The Tecno Spark 40, another budget phone in an ocean of budget phones. This one is hitting shelves at $100, which immediately puts it in that territory where you're not expecting miracles, but you're hoping for something that doesn't completely disappoint you. At that price, it's competing with phones that range from surprisingly decent to why does this exist? So let's dig into what Tecno is actually giving you here and figure out if the Spark 40 deserves a spot in your pocket, or if you should just save up for something better. Unboxing the Tecno Spark 40 is actually a refreshing experience, especially in 2025, where most brands are removing even the basics. When you open the box, you get everything important and then some. First, there's the phone itself, a 45-watt fast charger, which is rare at this price point, a black phone case that looks really good, not these transparent ones that yellow after a few months, and even a pair of wired earphones. This is where Chinese brands just get it right. While everyone is busy removing chargers and calling it environmental responsibility, Tecno's throwing accessories at you like it's 2015. Some of their phones even come with screen protectors pre-installed. It's refreshing, honestly. Now let's talk about the display. This is a $100 phone, so your expectations should be calibrated accordingly. You're getting a 6.67-inch LCD panel, and the resolution is capped at 720p, so don't expect the sharpest visuals, especially if you're coming from a Full HD or OLED screen. But it does support a 120Hz refresh rate, which seems great on paper. But here's the thing about 120Hz on budget phones. It's mostly marketing. The GPU can't push games at high frame rates anyway, and scrolling through basic apps doesn't suddenly become life-changing. It is there, it works, but don't expect it to transform your experience. Still, it's a decent display overall. You can comfortably watch YouTube videos, movies, and scroll through your app without any major issues. Indoors, it's get the job done, but under direct sunlight, visibility takes a hit, which is kind of expected at this price. Now the weird thing is, despite being an LCD panel, there's what appears to be an always-on display feature. Now if you know anything about display technology, you know that it's not actually possible with LCD. Real always-on displays need OLED pixels that can turn off individually. So I didn't look up into it that much, but I'm assuming what Tecno is doing here is basically displaying a static image on a dark background and calling it always-on. It's not technically an always-on display, just a clever software trick. The screen is still fully lit, it's just showing mostly black pixels. It works, but it's not the same thing, and it's definitely not as battery efficient as proper always-on displays. Still, for the price, you're getting a display that will handle your daily scrolling and video watching without making you want to throw the phone at a wall, and that's honestly not bad. The design situation here is genuinely hilarious. So there have been these iPhone 17 Pro leaks floating around for months, and those leaks usually end up being pretty accurate. Well, Tecno looked at those leaks and said, hold my beer. They went ahead and made the Spark 40 with the exact same design language. So now we have this budget Android phone that looks like it's cosplaying as the next iPhone Pros. The timing is perfect. When the iPhone 17 Pro launches in a few months, it's going to look like Apple copied the $100 Android phone. Of course, there's always that small chance that the leaks are wrong and Apple goes with something completely different, which would make this whole situation even funnier. The back has a matte finish that actually looks decent. It's not premium by any stretch, but it doesn't scream budget phone either. The front is where reality kicks in. Thick bezels all around, they're not offensive for a $100 phone, but they're definitely there. Out of the box, the Spark 40 runs on Android 15 with iOS 15 on top, so you're getting the latest version of Android, which is impressive for a phone of this category. Now Tecno hasn't promised anything about long-term software support, and realistically, you might get one update at best. That's just the reality for ultra-budget phones. The bloatware situation is exactly what you'd expect from a budget Tecno phone. It's everywhere. The good news is that most of it can be uninstalled, so you're not completely stuck with it. There's some AI stuff thrown in because apparently every phone needs AI now. Ella AI is their voice assistant, powered by DeepSeek AI. It's actually fairly capable and can help with tasks, answer questions, the usual assistant stuff. There's also a document assistant that can summarize photos or files, a writing assistant, and AI wallpaper generator, standard 2025 AI features. But perhaps the most unique feature here is something called FreeLink. With this, you can make phone calls over Bluetooth even without a SIM card or Wi-Fi, as long as you're connected to another phone that supports FreeLink, like another Spark 40 or an Infinix Smart 10. It's not something everyone will use, but it's a clever feature that is nice to have. Now the camera setup is very straightforward. 50-megapixel main camera on the back, 8-megapixel selfie camera on the front. Pretty standard for this price bracket. In good lighting, both cameras actually produce solid results. The key word here is solid. Don't expect iPhone level detail or dynamic range. The processing is heavy, which is typical for budget phones trying to punch above their weight. The software is doing a lot of work to make these photos look decent. You can definitely tell it's computational photography working overtime. Sometimes it works out, sometimes you get that overprocessed look that screams budget phone camera. But for social media posts and casual photography, it gets the job done. Video recording maxes out at 2K at 30 FPS for both cameras. And that's actually not bad for a phone at this price. Most people shooting video on their phones aren't going for beyond 1080p anyway, so having 2K is a nice bonus. When it comes to performance, you'll see why it's a budget phone. The Spark 40 is powered by the MediaTek Helio G81, a 4G chipset that sits in that entry-level does enough category. If you're someone who needs a phone to text, scroll, watch videos or use social media, this will hold up fine. But let's say you're thinking about playing games like COD Mobile, sure it will install, it could also play, but at the lowest graphics possible. And you will not even enjoy it. The frame rates are going to be inconsistent and the visual quality is going to be rough. Stick to simpler games, Candy Crush, Subway Surfers, maybe some puzzle games here and there. That's the sweet spot for this processor. If you're buying this phone primarily for gaming, you're making a mistake. RAM and storage options range from 4GB to 8GB of RAM and 128GB to 256GB of storage. Here's some free advice. Avoid the 4GB RAM option like it's radioactive. Seriously, in 2024, 4GB of RAM is barely enough for Android to run properly, let alone handling apps and multitasking. Go for the highest RAM and storage configuration you can afford. The Tecno Spark 40 packs a 5160 mAh battery, and that's more than enough to get most people through an entire day without needing to top up. For light and moderate users, think social media, YouTube, calls, and some light app usage, you're comfortably looking at a full day experience, sometimes even stretching into the next morning. And here's a small but underrated feature. Android phones finally showing the actual maximum battery percentage, just like iPhones have done for years. It's a minor detail, but one that makes battery tracking a little more transparent. When you do need to charge, Tecno includes a 45W fast charger in the box, which is nice at this price point. Most budget phones come with 15W or 18W, but here you're getting one of the fastest chargers in its class, meaning you're not stuck waiting forever just to get back to 100%. So here's the deal with the Tecno Spark 40. At its price, it's doing exactly what it needs to do. Look, this isn't going to be your daily driver if you're editing 4K videos or gaming for hours, but that's not the point. This is a phone that understands its assignment, being a reliable, affordable device for people who just need a phone that works. The use cases are pretty clear. Secondary phone, absolutely. First smartphone for your kid, perfect. Something simple for your parents who just want to make calls and watch the occasional TikTok, this is it. The cameras deliver acceptable results for the price point. The display, while not impressive on paper, gets the job done in real-world use. That 45W charging is genuinely nice to have, and the overall package just feels solid for what you're paying. It's not going to blow your mind, but it's not going to frustrate you either. And in the budget phone space, that's actually a win. It's a $100 phone that acts like a $100 phone, and there's something refreshing about that honesty. That's it for today. I'm Milan and this is Fuzitech. Subscribe.